There are moments in life when something within you stirs, quietly but undeniably. It's not a shout, not a loud command, but a whisper that refuses to be silenced. You feel it when you're alone, when the noise of the world fades and your soul finally has space to speak. It says, there's more. There's something you're meant to do. That whisper is not random. It's divine guidance disguised as intuition. You've felt it before. That sudden idea that lights you up, that vision that feels both thrilling and terrifying. It's like a spark from another world, and you know deep down it didn't come from you alone. It's a download from something greater, something infinite. When that whisper comes, it's not asking for your logic, it's asking for your faith. Most people ignore it. They drown it out with excuses, with distractions, with comfort. They convince themselves it was just a passing thought. But deep down, they know it was more than that. Because when God gives a thought to you, it doesn't fade, it lingers. It repeats. It tugs at your heart when you're trying to sleep. It follows you through your day until you finally listen. You might be scared of what it asks of you, because divine thoughts don't come to keep you comfortable. They come to make you courageous. They challenge your routine, your fears, your identity. That's how you know they're real. They don't ask you to stay small, they call you to expand. And the moment you choose to listen, something shifts inside you. The whisper becomes a pulse. The idea becomes alive. Suddenly, you can't unsee the vision. You can't unknow the truth that's been revealed. The thought begins to move you, to mold you, to call you forward. That's the moment you realize you were never chasing the idea. The idea was chasing you. It was placed in your mind for a reason. It was heaven's way of saying, I've chosen you to carry this. Every great idea that has ever changed the world began as something people called crazy. Every visionary, every creator, every dreamer was once told they were unrealistic, naive, or delusional. But what they really were was called. They were tuned into a frequency that others couldn't hear yet. And when God gives you a thought, it often won't make sense to anyone else. You'll question yourself. You'll wonder why this idea picked you. You'll look around and see people who seem more qualified, more talented, more connected. But that's exactly why you were chosen. Because your heart was open enough to receive it. God doesn't always call the equipped. He equips the called. That thought that won't leave you. It's not a coincidence. It's not a fantasy. It's an invitation. You didn't dream it by accident. You were chosen to bring it into reality because no one else carries the exact combination of passion, pain, and perspective that you do. You are the vessel, the messenger, the bridge. It's easy to dismiss divine inspiration as imagination. It's safer to call it wishful thinking. But there's a power in claiming it, saying, yes, this is mine. This is my assignment. Because once you do, the universe starts to shift around you. The right people, the right moments, the right doors, they all begin to align. And yes, it will feel lonely sometimes, because when you're called, you'll walk roads most won't understand. You'll be misunderstood, doubted, and even laughed at. But that isolation is not punishment. It's preparation. You're being separated so you can tune into something higher, something purer. The moment you stop calling yourself crazy and start calling yourself called, everything changes. You start walking differently. You start speaking with conviction because you know deep down, this thought didn't come to tease you. It came to transform you. Every miracle that has ever touched this earth began as a single thought. Every invention, every song, every revolution, all started in the invisible realm of the mind. That's how God works. He plants the seed of creation inside human imagination and waits to see who's brave enough to bring it to life. When you receive a thought that excites you and scares you at the same time, that's the sign it's divine. It carries energy. It vibrates differently. You can feel, not just think it. It doesn't leave you alone because it's not meant to. It's alive. It's the beginning of something that wants to exist through you. You might not know how it will happen. You might not have the money, the support, or the plan. But creation doesn't start with clarity. It starts with courage. You don't need to know the whole picture. You just need to say yes to the first brushstroke. The how always reveals itself to those who move in faith. You are a co-creator with the divine. When you act on an inspired thought, you become part of the creative process of the universe itself. You stop being a spectator of miracles and start becoming the instrument through which they happen. That's why divine ideas feel sacred, because they are. When God gives you a thought, He's not just inspiring you. He's given you a blueprint, a spiritual instruction, a chance to bring heaven's imagination into human reality. And that's not something to take lightly. That's an honor, a responsibility, a purpose. The world you see today was once just a thought in someone's mind. So imagine what the world could become if you dared to build the one God placed in yours. The moment you decide to move on that divine idea, fear will show up like clockwork. It will whisper lies. It will tell you you're not ready, you're not worthy, you're not capable. It will make you believe the thought was too big for you. But here's the truth. Fear only attacks what it sees as a threat. It wouldn't show up if you weren't on the verge of something powerful. Fear is not the sign that you're wrong. It's the sign that you're close. It's your body's reaction to spiritual expansion. You're stepping out of the familiar into the miraculous, and the ego panics because it can't control what's new. That's why fear feels so loud, because your spirit is about to break free from everything that kept it small. Most people let fear silence their divine ideas. They trade their calling for comfort. They choose safety over growth. But you can't build heaven's plan on earth if you're too afraid to move. You must understand that courage is not the absence of fear. It's the decision to walk through it anyway. Every time you act despite fear, your faith grows stronger. Every time you push forward when you're terrified, you're declaring to the universe, I trust the one who gave me this thought more than I trust my fear. That's when breakthroughs happen. That's when doors open that logic can't explain. Fear is a liar, but it's also a teacher. It shows you where your limits are and gives you the chance to expand them. When you learn to walk with fear instead of running from it, you take back your power. Because divine thoughts were never meant to die at the hands of human fear. And once you realize that fear is just a test of faith, you stop seeing it as an enemy and start seeing it as confirmation that you're walking in the divine direction. There will come a moment when the thought God placed in your mind begins to feel too heavy to carry. You'll question if you heard right. You'll wonder if you made it all up. You'll start to think maybe it was just emotion, maybe it was just a coincidence. That's when doubt enters, quiet at first, but persistent. It slips into your mind and starts asking questions that sound logical, but they're designed to pull you away from faith. Doubt always comes dressed as reason, but its purpose is fear. It's not there to destroy you. It's there to test what you truly believe. You see, when you receive a divine idea, you receive it in your spirit. But to bring it to life, you must hold it through the storms of your mind. Doubt is the storm that checks if your roots are deep enough. It shakes your belief to see if you'll let go or if you'll dig deeper. Every person who's ever accomplished something divine faced that same storm. Every visionary has looked in the mirror and said, "What if I'm wrong?" The difference is they moved anyway. They trusted the spark more than the shadow. Doubt will make you pause. It will make you overthink, delay, and question your worth. It will whisper that maybe this isn't the right time. Maybe you should wait until you're more ready. But readiness is an illusion. If God gave you the thought, it means you already have what it takes to start. Doubt's voice will always sound smart, but faith doesn't need to sound smart. It just needs to sound certain. Faith doesn't wait for the evidence. It creates the evidence through action. There will be nights when you'll sit in silence, wondering why it feels so hard. You'll look for signs and get silence. You'll ask for clarity and get chaos. That's when you must remember, doubt doesn't mean absence of faith. It's the space where faith is tested. You can't strengthen a muscle without resistance, and you can't strengthen trust without uncertainty. God doesn't test your faith to punish you. He tests it to make it unshakable. Every great leap of faith stands on the bridge between belief and doubt. That's where you decide if you'll walk by sight or by spirit. It's easy to trust when everything makes sense. It's powerful to trust when nothing does. That's when you grow from believer to doer. That's when you prove that your faith isn't based on comfort. It's based on conviction. And that's the kind of trust that moves mountains. Because when you refuse to let doubt win, something incredible happens. The thought inside you grows stronger than the fear outside you. You stop needing confirmation from the world because you start hearing confirmation from within. You realize that the test was never about the idea itself. It was about your trust in the one who gave it to you. Doubt is the fire, and faith is the gold that comes out of it. Inspiration is sacred. It's the language God uses to communicate with your soul. That sudden rush of clarity, that electric spark that fills you with purpose, that's heaven speaking through you. It's a divine invitation, not a random feeling. But here's the truth. Most people don't want to face inspiration without action dies. It fades. It evaporates into regret. Because no matter how divine the idea, it needs your hands, your voice, your courage to become real. Every day, countless divine ideas are lost because someone hesitated, someone waited for the perfect time, the perfect plan, the perfect version of themselves. They felt the fire once, but they didn't move when it burned brightest. They told themselves they'd start tomorrow. But inspiration is like breath. It's meant to be used now, not stored for later. When you feel it, it's because the universe is aligning in that exact moment for you to take a step. Wait too long, and that alignment shifts. The timing dissolves. The window closes. The world doesn't change from ideas alone. It changes from people bold enough to act on them. You can read every book, pray every prayer, write every plan, but if you never move, you're just sitting in the same place with divine potential gathering dust. God doesn't bless hesitation. He blesses motion. He blesses the moment you say, I may not know how, but I'm going to start anyway. Action is the bridge between the invisible and the visible, between heaven's idea and earth's reality. When you act even imperfectly, something extraordinary happens. The universe begins to assist you. The right people cross your path. Opportunities appear. Doors you couldn't have forced open suddenly swing wide. That's not a coincidence, that's confirmation. Movement activates miracles. The moment you move, divine energy multiplies your effort. You don't need to see the whole staircase. You just need to take the first step, and the next one appears. But if you ignore that inspiration, if you let fear, laziness, or overthinking smother it, you deny the world the gift you were supposed to bring. Someone out there is waiting for what only you can create, and every time you hold back someone else's breakthrough. That's why inaction isn't just a personal loss, it's a spiritual one. The divine thought was given to you for a reason. You were chosen as the vessel. But the gift only matters when you use it. You weren't made to just receive divine sparks. You were made to ignite them. Inspiration is divine energy borrowed for a moment. Action is how you give it back in full. When you combine faith with movement, you become unstoppable. The idea stops being just a thought and starts becoming a creation. And that's the ultimate partnership. You and God creating something eternal through your willingness to move when others stay still. The moment you take action, even the smallest one, something shifts in the unseen. Energy starts moving. The atmosphere around your life begins to rearrange itself in ways you can't always see, but can definitely feel. Because the universe doesn't respond to intention alone, it responds to motion. You can think, hope, and pray for change all day, but until you move, nothing in creation has permission to move with you. The law is simple: motion activates momentum. You don't wait for the path to appear. The path appears when you walk. Most people stand still, waiting for signs. They say, I'll move when it's clear. I'll act when I'm sure. But the universe doesn't work that way. Clarity is born in action. The direction reveals itself as you move, not before. You don't need to know the whole plan, just the next step. When God gives you a thought, He's testing whether you'll move in faith or freeze in fear. Every movement, no matter how small, sends a signal to the universe that says, I'm serious about this. And that signal is powerful enough to shift reality itself. You might not see results right away, and that's where most people give up. They move once, and when nothing changes overnight, they assume it didn't work. But a faith-driven movement is different. It's about persistence, not instant proof. Every action, every risk, every uncomfortable step creates ripples. It might not look like progress, but it's building alignment. The energy of movement compounds. What starts as a single step becomes a wave that moves the impossible. Think about nature. Rivers carve canyons, not by force, but by continuous movement. The wind shapes mountains through steady persistence. Everything in creation flows, shifts, evolves. Stagnation is death, motion is life. When you move, you're sensing yourself with the natural rhythm of the universe. You become part of the divine current, and that current carries you toward what's meant for you. The more you flow, the less you force. The more you move, the more life moves with you. And yes, sometimes the first few steps will feel clumsy. You'll stumble. You'll question if it's working. But movement isn't about perfection. It's about progress. You learn by doing. You grow by moving. You align by acting. Every time you take a step toward that God-given idea, you prove your trust. And that trust magnetizes support. People start appearing. Opportunities unfold. Resources seem to come out of nowhere. That's not luck. That's the universe responding to your movement. Because the truth is, the universe is always watching your energy, not your words. It doesn't respond to someday. It responds to now. You can't manifest what you're not willing to move toward. You can't pray for open doors while refusing to knock. When you move, you activate divine order. You show heaven you're ready. And when heaven knows you're ready, earth starts to cooperate. That's how destiny unfolds. Not by waiting, but by walking. When God gives you a thought, it arrives as a spark, small, fragile, and sacred. It's not yet a wildfire. It's a whisper of what could be. In the beginning, that thought is vulnerable. It can be easily blown out by doubt, by fear, by noise, by other people's opinions. That's why the first rule of divine inspiration is protection. You must guard that spark like your life depends on it. Because in many ways it does. Your future, your purpose, your next chapter, they all depend on how you protect that small beginning. Too many people expose their divine ideas too early. They get excited, and they share their vision with people who don't understand its frequency. And instead of encouragement, they receive criticism. Instead of belief, they get skepticism. And before they know it, the flame starts to fade. Not because it wasn't powerful, but because it wasn't protected. The wrong words from the wrong people at the wrong time can suffocate the divine fire inside you. That's why sometimes silence is your greatest form of protection. The early stages of a vision require solitude. It's not isolation, it's incubation. Just like a seed can't survive in harsh light before it roots itself, your thought can't survive exposure before it gains strength. You must nurture it in the quiet, feed it with faith, water it with consistency, and shield it from negativity. Don't rush to show the world what you're building. Let it grow in secret until it's strong enough to stand the wind. There's divine power in the unseen. That's where God shapes the unshakable. People won't always understand your silence. They'll think you're hiding. They'll assume you've quit. But what they don't realize is that you're protecting something sacred. You're building in the shadows, not because you're afraid, but because you respect the process. The flame is still forming its purpose. It's learning to withstand the storms. And when it's ready, it will light up everything around it, so bright that no one will question where it came from. The more precious the idea, the more resistance it attracts. The more divine the assignment, the more distractions will come to destroy it. That's how you know it's real. Every test, every delay, every moment of doubt, it's trying to see if you'll protect it or let it die. This is where discipline matters. Not every voice deserves your ear. Not every room deserves your vision. Protecting the thought means protecting your energy, your focus, and your faith, because that thought, that little flame, is not just yours. It's a piece of heaven entrusted to you. It's light that's meant to guide others one day. But before it can guide anyone, it must survive within you. Don't let opinions comfort or fear extinguish it. Build a wall of faith around it. Breathe life into it daily. And when the time is right, when it's no longer a fragile spark, but a roaring fire, let the world see what God planted in you. Something that couldn't be broken. Something that burned through every storm because you refused to let it die. The moment you say yes to a divine thought, you invite both purpose and pressure. Because purpose doesn't come wrapped in comfort. It comes wrapped in challenge. The struggle is not a punishment. It's proof that what you're carrying has weight. When you move toward what God gave you, resistance rises like a shadow. It tries to convince you that you're on the wrong path. But that pressure isn't there to stop you. It's there to shape you. The struggle is sacred because it refines you into the person who can hold the blessing that's coming. Every storm has a reason. Every delay, every disappointment, every heartbreak, it's all part of the divine conditioning process. You asked to grow, and growth never happens in comfort. You prayed for strength, and strength is built in struggle. You wanted faith, and faith is born in the dark. The struggle is where you meet your real self, stripped of ego, stripped of pride, stripped of illusion. It's where you discover the depth of your spirit. The pain doesn't come to destroy you. It comes to reveal what can't be destroyed. It's easy to believe in divine thoughts when everything's going right. It's easy to say, I trust, when doors are opening. But the true test of faith comes when nothing seems to move. When you've prayed, cried, and pushed, and heaven feels silent. That's when you learn that faith isn't about seeing results. It's about trusting the process. The silence is not absence. It's alignment. God is not ignoring you. He's preparing the ground beneath your feet. Every delay is building the strength of your foundation. The struggle trains your spirit to carry glory. Without resistance, you'd collapse under the weight of what's coming. The rejection teaches you resilience. Waiting teaches you patience. The failure teaches you humility. You can't skip this phase. It's a divine curriculum. It's where you learn that success isn't something you chase. It's something you become. Every scar becomes a page in your story. Every hardship becomes a brick in your character. The struggle doesn't disqualify you. It qualifies you. When you're in the middle of the fight, it's tempting to think you're alone. But the truth is, heaven is closest in the heat. That pain that feels unbearable is actually evidence that something powerful is being birthed inside you. You're being stretched so your purpose can fit. You're being refined so your light can shine through clean. And when you come out on the other side, you'll realize you didn't just survive the struggle, you were transformed by it. Because the struggle isn't separate from the calling, it is the calling. It's the proving ground of divine ideas. It's where the thought God gave you stops being a theory and becomes reality. Without the struggle, there's no story. Without the breaking, there's no becoming. That's why the struggle is sacred. It's the furnace that forges the version that can finally hold the dream you were trusted with. Miracles are not random. They don't just fall from the sky into the hands of people who wish for them. They meet those who move. The universe doesn't reward passive hope. It rewards bold faith in motion. Too many people are standing on the sidelines of their own destiny, watching life happen instead of participating in it. They pray for signs but ignore the small steps. They ask for change but never take the first swing. You can't witness miracles from the bleachers. You have to be on the field, sweating, risking, and believing when it makes no sense. A miracle begins the moment you decide to act when logic says wait. When you stop saying someday and start saying today. When you trust the thought God gave you enough to do something about it. The most powerful miracles are born from movement, not magic. The Red Sea didn't part until someone stepped into it. Walls didn't fall until people walked around them. Every story of a breakthrough began with a person who refused to just watch and started to walk. God meets you in motion, not in hesitation. Faith isn't meant to sit still. It's meant to move mountains, and mountains don't move for spectators. They move for people who dare to push when the ground shakes beneath them. Miracles manifest when belief meets bravery, when action meets divine timing. The ones who witness the impossible are always the ones who stepped out first, who believed the whisper more than the world. They acted before they saw proof. And that's why they got to see what others never will. Spectators are full of potential, but they drown in hesitation. They wait for perfect circumstances, forgetting that perfection is born through progress. They wait for signs in the sky while ignoring the spark in their soul. Every time you wait for permission to move, you're delaying your miracle. God has already said go. The divine idea was the green light. The rest is up to you. You're not waiting on heaven. Heaven's waiting on you to make the first move. When you act, you become a magnet for divine alignment. The universe starts coordinating what you need. People, opportunities, timing. Things start to connect in ways you couldn't have orchestrated if you tried. That's not luck, that's law. The moment you show faith through motion, creation responds. You're no longer begging for a miracle, you're partnering with one. You've stepped into the rhythm of divine cause and effect, where faith in action creates outcomes that defy logic. Because miracles are not for the ones who sit and hope, they're for the ones who move in trust. You were never meant to be a spectator in your own story. You were meant to be a participant in divine creation. The stage of your miracle is already built. It's waiting for your step, your leap, your risk, your yes. The moment you act, heaven meets you halfway. And that's when the extraordinary happens. Not because you waited for it, but because you walked into it. When that divine thought drops into your mind, that spark that feels too specific to be a coincidence and too powerful to ignore, it's not just inspiration, it's authorization. It's heaven's way of saying, go, you're ready. You don't need validation from people, approval from systems, or confirmation from signs. That thought itself is the sign. It's a spiritual assignment wrapped in an idea, handed directly to your soul. You were trusted with it because heaven saw something in you that you might not yet see in yourself. Every divine thought is permission disguised as possibility. It's not asking if you're qualified, it's declaring that you are chosen. When God gives you a thought, He's not waiting for you to prove yourself. He's inviting you to express what He already placed within you. It's not arrogance to believe in it, it's obedience. Heaven doesn't need you to earn permission to build, to create, to speak, to lead. The moment the thought arrives, permission has already been granted. Your only job is to say yes. Most people waste years asking for signs to confirm what God already confirmed by planning the idea. They pray for clarity when clarity has already come in the form of inspiration. But fear makes them question it. Doubt makes them delay it. And in that delay, destiny waits. The truth is, when God gives you a thought, you don't have to wait for the stars to align. They already have. The alignment happened the moment heaven whispered it to your heart. That was your invitation to move. And it's okay if you don't have the blueprint yet. Heaven doesn't give you the entire map. It gives you the coordinates for your next step. The thought is the key that unlocks the door, not the entire building plan. Every step you take reveals another. Every door you walk through opens another. That's how divine guidance works. It unfolds with your faith. If you wait for all the answers, you'll miss the miracle hidden in movement. The thought was never meant to be analyzed. It was meant to be acted on. When you walk in obedience to that idea, creation cooperates with you. People start appearing, resources start flowing, timing starts aligning, not because you forced it, but because you followed the divine permission you were given. You're no longer chasing opportunities. Opportunities begin chasing you. Heaven doesn't just bless your decision, it backs it. The universe starts echoing your courage. That's the moment you realize the thought wasn't small, it was a seed designed to build something eternal. So when that thought comes, That vision that keeps you up at night, that dream that won't leave your heart. Stop waiting for someone to permit you. You've already been chosen. The divine doesn't ask for opinions. It doesn't require consensus. When God gives you a thought, it's not a suggestion, it's a calling. That thought is heaven's signature on your destiny, stamped and sealed. The moment you accept it, you unlock a new dimension of your life. The question isn't, am I ready? The question is, am I willing? Because readiness is a process, but willingness opens the gate.